Repeat after me in that situation or what you're going to be repeating when you do your oath of office. Okay.
Ready? I now call to order the October 16th, 2025 meeting of the Salem Historic Landmarks Commission. I believe we have an addition to the agenda.
Yeah, I'd like to move to amend the agenda to add the swearing in of our new commissioner.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Perfect. We have a motion to add swearing in from Commissioner Kaiser and a second from Commissioner Inman. Sorry, I always like blanket on people's last names when I can't see them. Okay. Anybody says something to that? Okay, great. Then we'll go ahead and change the agenda to add the swearing in of our new officer.
Okay. So that happens now. I think we just have to be on camera for this one.
You should so we can take a picture.
Sure.
Take lead.
And then you want to swear or all of them. Okay. So repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Matthew Miller,
Do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States of America
and the state of Oregon
and the state of Oregon
and the city charter and ordinances of the city of Salem,
and the city charter and ordinance of the city of Salem,
and that I will, to the best of my ability,
and that I will, to the best of my ability,
faithfully and lawfully perform the duties of the Historic Landmarks Commissioner
faithfully and lawfully perform the duties of Historic Landmarks Commissioner
for Salem during my continuance therein.
for Salem during my continuance therein.
Okay, that's supposed to have to raise your hand when you do that, but the signature is more important. Okay, you would sign this and return it to me.
Okay.
You are officially a commissioner.
Perfect. Well, then we'll move down to roll call with our new commissioner included.
Oh, well, that's me. Okay, okay.
Very good.
This is not in alphabetical order for some reason. Commissioner Critterman,
Present.
Commissioner Kaiser,
Here.
Commissioner Inman,
Here.
Commissioner Miller,
Here.
Commissioner Weathers.
I'm here.
We have quorum. Or Commissioner Strauss.
Here.
We have quorum.
All right, great. Is there anybody here for public comment for items that are not on the agenda? You're here for Inglewood. Oh, okay, great, perfect. Okay, great. Well, I don't see anybody, just for the record, so we'll go ahead and move on to the consent calendar, and the approval of minutes. Do I have a motion on the minutes?
I move to. Good. I move to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Perfect. We have a motion to approve the minutes from Commissioner Kaiser and a second from Commissioner Inman. Are there any corrections to the minutes? All right, all in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, the motion passes and the minutes are finalized. We don't have any public hearings on the agenda, so we'll skip right down to special orders of business. Our first is a presentation about the Peace Plaza design.
Can I stay here or go up there?
Come up here and just state your name and your address for the record. That would be amazing.
Like business address or?
It's
Your business address is fine.
where did that go? I opened it on this. Sorry, hold on. I brought your.
Well, I'm Cody Dompierre with CB2 Architects and we're at 500 Liberty, suite number 100, suite 100.
What's going on? Oh, this is not in PowerPoint. This is just a PDF.
Yeah, and that button should work for you. Yeah,
There we go.
perfect.
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine. Go away.
So yeah, I'm here to talk about the Salem Civic Center concentrating on Peace Plaza improvements, which we're in the beginning stages of design and getting community input on. Should I can I advance right here?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
Or you should be able to.
Okay, great. So CB2 Architects, who I represent, we're partnered with Hacker Architects out of Portland to do building and site work together. So we concentrate on the site work. Hacker has been doing the building work. Ground Workshop has done the landscape architecture design thus far that you'll see and we'll talk about later. City of Salem Public Works, Aaron Kimsey is here. Who we're working for. There's Compass Project Solutions has been the owner representative on this project as well. And City of Salem leadership has been involved in all of the decision-making thus far for this stuff. So today, our goal for the evening is to inform you guys where we're at in the design process, listen to feedback, and talk about the historic components at Peace Plaza and identify any gaps. What are we missing? What should we be considering that we're not considering right now? And again, this is part of our early design process. Then we'll talk about the overall project, orient you to it, where we're at in the community process, schedule, and then what is actually happening at the building really briefly, and then concentrate on Peace Plaza, as I'd mentioned, with some historic elements, and then ending in the landscape design where it stands today. So the overall project. So the design process for Peace Plaza, through May, we were really at the very early stages of design, getting some identifying challenges, working within the constraints of the project and vetting and seeing where we stood in terms of cost. And then we're having some community meetings right now. We've had 2 out of our 3 community meetings. One was last week, where we presented we presented a design and then we refined it and showed everyone in the community the refinement, and you'll see that refinement today. And then we have another community meeting in a month where we plan to revise again based upon the community feedback that we heard last week. All of that is intended to dovetail with the design of Peace Plaza. The idea here, the end goal is to have a fundraising package that the city can then ask for money, future money for. So I'll talk about it in a second, but Aaron can chime in too, but the project is starting construction like last month, basically. And they will finish, the actual building renovation will finish in early 2027. But this effort and what we're talking about tonight for Peace Plaza is really a schematic design level, 30% design level fundraising package to get funding for the project. So some project goals for the Civic Center overall, the renovation itself. One is to make it more resilient, safe, and sustainable. So you'll see some of that seismic upgrade stuff. We'll talk about that very briefly, but that's a huge goal. A big number 2 goal is to make it more inviting and accessible for the public. A lot of people have mentioned that it needs to improve the access and wayfinding and circulation and have space for the community. So that's really where Peace Plaza ties in, is creating better spaces for the community. And then the third thing is creating a 21st century workplace, which the building really is taking care of. Budget, this is part of the $300 million safety and livability bond from November 22, and $39.5 million is toward the Civic Center earthquake safety portion. And all of these projects have been pretty budgetarily constrained. And so again, this is Peace Plaza. We're designing it for the future to get other funding mechanisms. So the building exterior, the seismic upgrade of the building itself, we're putting 6 seismic structural walls on the outside of the building. And the idea is that they are very, very similar to the ones that are done at the library. And so they have vegetation on them. They're colored a different color, much like at the library, so that it feels like a big campus. It's that Civic Center idea. So we're not doing something different. We're making it all look like it's one big campus. You can kind of see that on the north as well. Another aspect that we're doing is the north atrium. And it's one thing to consider when it's kind of a yin and yang with what we're doing at Peace Plaza. Originally, the idea was that Peace Plaza was the outdoor gathering for the community when it's sunny outside, and the north atrium being covered was for outdoor gathering whenever it's raining outside. And so originally it was a very, very clear glazing. The acrylic glass was on day one was clear, and it quickly weathered and discolored. And now it's pretty dark and brown and doesn't allow that light in. And secondarily, if a seismic event happened, it would all fall down. It's very, very, it's not seismically reinforced at all. So the idea here with the atrium is this is in the budget, in the building renovation, is a new atrium roof that will permanently be glass. It's going to be seismically braced, so in a seismic event, it won't fall down. And it's going to being glass, it will stay clear. And that original intent for that space being much, much brighter than it is today. So again, that really dovetails with what happens at Peace Plaza. So just want to orient everybody and talk about the historic elements of Peace Plaza. So Peace Plaza is between City Hall to the north and the library to the south. Originally, the library did not have the 1992 addition to it, and it had an interest on the first floor and second floor onto Peace Plaza. That was the original design of the library, which in the 92 expansion got rid of that second floor. There's actually a balcony that was covered that was removed in the 1992 expansion. So here's the original design drawings. So there's some components to kind of be talking about. There's the fountain itself in the middle, in the center. It's really the focus of the space. It is the historic contributing element. There's a grove of trees that originally was designed as kind of these tree wells, but you'll see in the built condition, they actually just built it as grass originally. So this drawing shows them as tree wells, but it was just a grassy area. There's a waffle area that was the intent for that space was to kind of harken back to the waffle slab of the building itself. If you look up, there's a grid and waffle system. And so that was kind of a nod to that. And then there's tree wells to the north. It's notable that the 1988 Peace Wall was not an original piece to the space. Peace Plaza was named Peace Plaza in 1987. And then a UN Peace Wall was created in that area. So you'll notice in this next slide, originally that was really a grassy area that brought you down from the area of the parking near commercial down into the space and added some greenery elements into the space. Looking at that top right image, you'll also notice again the two-story outdoor area with people standing there at the library back in the 70s before, again, that 1992 addition removed those pieces. And so on the first floor, you can see there's even, was more grass in that area originally. You can see the waffle space just barely kind of on the right-hand side of the picture. You can see that grassy area on the right-hand side of the picture. And then the image in the bottom left corner is where you can see the original design of the concrete triangles and the fountain, the original design of the fountain. It actually had about 14 inches of standing water in the center of it, and it had those 4 jets of water as the focal point of Peace Plaza. So with the historic nomination, the Plaza fountain is the main contributing element. With the 33 concrete triangles being in the circle, some of which support a wood bench, that is really the contributing element in the space. And again, there was descriptions in the nomination that while Peace Plaza was created in the 80s and the Peace Wall was created, those aren't character defining, but they also didn't take away from the character of the contributing element. Jake, correct me if I'm kind of speaking out of turn here. The Plaza fountain the character defining features of it are one, its location, so it connects the public library to City Hall with its right in the center of those two pieces. The concrete materials are important in that the brutalist architecture of both buildings are very concrete forward buildings, and so the concrete materials of the Plaza Fountain was very important. And then also the open nature and the focal point of it being a fountain and statue in the middle of the space are really the three character defining features. To kind of talk about what we are doing also generally, we're upgrading some of the ramps that go into the building to upgrade accessibility. And we're also adding accessible parking on the western end of the Peace Plaza area. As part of the seismic upgrade of the building, we had to upgrade the accessibility of that building as well. And so that is happening. The added benefit being more accessible parking near the first floor entrance of the library as well. So some of the feedback that we got, we've received so far from our meetings that we've had, a lot of people were saying more green, more trees, more lighting for evening use, have some quiet zones, some native plants, art that reflects Salem's diversity. A lot of people were talking about programming of the space for community events, space for farmers markets, flexible evening event space, food trucks, live music space, and then some more recreation and activity spaces too. So again, food trucks, seating for everybody, interactive elements, things of this nature. And then our last meeting that we had, it was brought up that the Peace Plaza being peace would be great to like see that more than we do today, was a big comment that we had as well. So I'm gonna have to put on my landscape architect hat here. Bear with me. I don't have my landscape architect with me, but I want to make sure that I hit all the points. So the big moves with the design that we have so far are I should step back. What is not happening in the existing condition? So the fountain is not functioning. It hasn't been since around 2002. And the drain infrastructure is not functioning either anymore. And then, right after the building was built in the 70s, that art piece was placed on top of the fountain. So instead of having those jets of water, the art piece was placed in the center and did have water in it until 2002 as well. The concrete all around the site is at end of life, and it is falling. It originally, if you actually look, there's a covered area in the gray area near City Hall. That concrete is covered, and if you look at it, it's very, very smooth concrete, but because it was covered from the elements. But 50 years of being exposed to the elements has exposed that concrete, and there's the aggregate is exposed, but there's also new cracks along some of these accessible routes that we need to fix. That's not meeting accessible code. The existing grove of trees on the southwest side of the plaza are planted extremely close together and are crowding each other out. And then the benches and the triangles are showing age and wear. The big moves in this design, and we'll see some three-dimensional imagery here in a second. But the big moves that we're going for, number one, the biggest one, is to repave the entire area between the grove of trees and the stairs to the west, to the east-west bookends, to make that flat and make it smooth and easily traversable with a mobility device. Right now, I didn't even believe this, but it's totally true. It is actually a bowl that's steep enough to not meet accessibility codes. So the side slope accessibility codes. So if you're going kind of diagonally across the space, it's not too steep for you in your path of travel, but the side slope is too steep. It's a 2%. You can't be more than 2%, and it's well over that. So the design that we're showing here, the idea is to put new concrete basically in that square around the space. And do I have my access to the mouse? Okay, I do. Great. So really in this zone here, all new concrete, make that flat. And then also keep the fountain at its current elevation, all of the triangles at their current elevation, but really create these ramping zones that have handrail and are compliant with the accessibility code. So that's one of the biggest design moves that we're doing, to retain the fountain as a piece at its elevation, not having to change it or move it up, and fixing the accessibility problems in the space. We're adding a bench around that center circle to create opportunity for gathering and focusing around that sculpture piece. And if it ever in the distant future became a more working fountain again, which is cost prohibitive at this point in time, but it could become operational, that would still be the focus. Adjust the grove of trees on the side to be extended, and so that it really bookends this space, and create a park-like gathering space and reintroduce greenery and shade to the park. We're going to add bosques, which you'll see in a second, but really with crutched running east and west, that'll create an LA of trees through the space. And you'll see in a second, maybe some opportunity for sitting and gathering in those zones. And then another big idea is to put these concrete triangles in some grass of some sort. Right now we're talking about some native grasses. We're trying to figure out what are some materials that are lowest maintenance possible, so that they stay the original design as long as possible. But the idea there is the current fountain is the original design of having water in it. The reason it was not operational as of about 2002 is you can't have the 14 inches of standing water is a safety issue for children. And then so that's what we're trying to make it actually more safe in the space for those triangles. Those are also, people can just walk up them and kids can fall. And so the idea is to make it a grassy area that keeps rule following folks out of those zones. And if they were to get up there, they're falling into grass or dirt or something like that. That's not concrete. So here's a three-dimensional image from the west into the space using some pavers. Imagine that they're at the same level as the dirt below them, but this is kind of a nod to the waffle slab. And so having some pavers that really bring you into the space. You can see the flat new concrete all the way around the space, and then straight ahead of us we see the ramp, the accessibility compliant ramp with railings on both sides, benches all around. And then once you're down that ramp, you have seating opportunities all the way around the sculpture piece. On this side, you see that grove of trees that really creates an opportunity for people to sit down, put a blanket down, have a picnic in the park, if you will. And then on the sides, you see that bosque of trees creating the LA and space for people to maybe read a book or have some lunch on a table, and potentially for some staff members to this would be an enticing place for staff from both City Hall and library to come out here and take a break as well. This is a view from City Hall, looking through that bosque of trees. down into the fountain area. And you can kind of see those concrete triangular pieces in that space. What we're trying to do here is retain at least 50% of those concrete triangles. We do have to remove some of them to make it more accessible into this space. But the intent is to keep as many as we can in those spaces. And here's a view near the library from the east side down into the space. So you can see again those floor ramps getting you down to the original elevation of the fountain and the bosks of trees. And so this really reacts to, again, we're in the middle of reacting to community comments. We really added a lot more green to the space. Just hearing that loud and clear from the community on our first meeting. And so that's where we're at in the design. And so again, this is us really early on in the design process, trying to get to say a 30% set of drawings that we can then understand the cost of what we're talking about, make sure that it includes community input, HLC input, among other groups that have interest in the space, so that we can go after funding. So it would be a long time before we would actually come to HLC with an actual set of plans. And so the intent for tonight is to talk about the space and the historic pieces of it. So thank you.
Amazing, thank you. Just a couple of pieces of logistics before we get into this discussion. Because this might Chelsea at some point for approval, we can't make any direction or we can't make any motions on this. This is just a chance for us to provide some feedback, to ask questions about the design, but there's one staff to do. I also just want to state for the record that I did go to the open house. Was it last?
Yeah.
I went to the open house last week, so I have a little bit additional information just based on that, just for the record. But it's not any different than what I'm seeing here tonight, so I don't think it will. Just for the record. Great. Scott, questions?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I guess I would also state, I think this is two architects, but whatever.
I can have it on the
I will
record.
ask different, I won't ask any different questions. If the contributing element, if I recall, was primarily the cool sundial pieces of triangles, then could you try harder to not remove as many?
We could. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I see 4 paths in, but one in keeping the historic triangles would be something I would think is cool.
Okay.
I agree with that. I think probably my biggest feedback for this design right away is that, those triangles are one of the most significant features in the plaza, and I would rather see a design that doesn't remove any of them. But I understand that, it would be nice if ADA people folks go down there as well too. So I understand that there's a balance between those things, but maybe we could do 2 pathways instead of 4 and retain more of those triangles. Yeah, I totally agree.
It's kind of an artsy thing, right? I mean, why there's 33 and all that, but
Yeah.
you lose it if you cut it in a third or whatever we have here, so.
Yeah, it's like an artistic rendition of a sundial, I think. I've heard it referred to as a sundial. And there's a couple of newspaper articles that call it a sundial as it's been installed in the 70s, but I don't think it's actually a functional sundial. It's just it looks kind of like a cool sundial.
Well,
Yeah.
for 33 months out of the year.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, to that point, I mean, I didn't know what, I wasn't aware of the background. And so often we see these interpretive plaques and little, stand-up thingies. I think that would be a benefit to the public if we're going to draw more folks in, that they know what these weird triangles are all about, or even why this is called Peace Plaza, from where all that came.
Yeah.
There's got to be some of that somewhere.
Yeah, I know there's an interesting story around the statue that they put in here too, is that it was put to it was like a community competition. They were like, somebody's gonna make a cool statue, and so they put it to a community competition, and it was entirely funded by community donations, which I think is also really cool. It's like $40,000 in the '70s to put that statue in. So funded.
In effect, the sculpture has become Gnomon with G-N-O-M, is it O-N or E-N? Which is the part of the sundial that casts the shadow. So so, it's really kind of, and then the triangles are almost the markers on the dial showing where although a real sundial is only half a circle, not a full.
On your list of things people wanted, there was underlined for art. So, that comes up so very often. It's its own thing, not our commission, right? There's an art commission, but do y'all have any ideas where that could fit and also not then cover up all these cute sundial things? Being collaborative, where's a good place for any of that to go and not mess up the historic part?
Yeah, that's a really great question. Members of SPAC have been really good at attending the community meetings, which has been really helpful. We haven't met with SPAC yet, for example, and talking about asking them where some art pieces might go is a good next step, I think. There's opportunities. There's actually near the number 3, there's an existing mural that members of the Arts Commission have told me is maybe at its end of its life. It was done on plywood decades ago, and there might be an opportunity to do something new in that location.
Which mural?
So there's right where the number 3 is on the screen. There's actually a wall with the mural on it. And it sounds like it can't be restored because it was done on plywood.
It's wood, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in really, really bad shape. It's not part of the collection.
Right.
No one really, with SPAC at least, knows the history and when it was put there. So yeah, we're looking at options on maybe that becomes a new mural or something else.
Yeah. Here, to go back to an earlier slide. It's a significant wall. It's probably 10 feet tall all the way around. And so it is a spot where you could put a mural, but again, that's not original to the space, but currently there is a mural there. But we're open to any ideas for art, frankly.
I don't think, speaking from my name is Aaron Kimsey. I'm an assistant city engineer with the city of Salem, and then serve as a project manager most of the time. This project wouldn't qualify for public art. Some of our projects, like the Civic Center, the library, the police station, 1/2 or 1% of the construction cost goes to the art fund. And so that's typical for buildings. This project wouldn't qualify for that, so there wouldn't be an added source to contribute to the art, whatever that might be. So it would really at that point be upon SPAC to look at what they have internally in their collection that could be placed here, or if they wanted to use some of their existing funds to purchase new art or hire an artist to do a new mural. They do that kind of stuff throughout town. There's some murals that have been installed recently throughout. So it would really be a question for them, like when we're done with the design, then it's like, or maybe they would ask us to leave a space open for future art, something like that. You've seen the art wells downtown that get installed with the new streetscape. A lot of times we'll install the art well with the project, and then SPAC would at a later date find a piece to install. So that's kind of how I see the art piece of this conversation going.
What's interesting to me, like being on this photo, is that it's so open. And actually in the National Register nomination, it says the open nature and focal point which is the fountain statue and concrete triangles, are also an essential element of the resource. Could you go to the conceptual,
You got the plan or?
the 3D? thing? The first thing that struck me about this is that it's not. And I'm thinking about, not to say it's not good or not attractive or anything. But it's all trees. And those trees are gonna grow up. And it's going to not be an open space. It's gonna be like an orchard type of feel. And it's just fundamentally different than what was originally intended for that space. You could probably get at, I know there was some tree orchard thing that they wanted originally. And that original shot was probably opening day when things were, little plants or
Right.
whatever. So there was some kind of intent to have green, taller stuff in it, but that's the thing that struck me the most, in addition to the concrete triangles. So I don't know if there might be a way to not minimize per se, but mitigate a little bit, so you still get that open feeling.
Yeah. For sure.
And just to kind of go off that comment a little bit too, the trees growing up will impede the shadows on
Right.
this design quite a bit. So it will really not function like it was intended originally. So that's kind of a concern of mine as well.
I was gonna say this, this picture actually made me think more park than plaza. And I
Yeah.
think that's what the public was, that's it, more trees, more green, but that's if it was a park.
Right.
It's not a space for people to go throw a frisbee or, have their dog chase a ball or something. This is a plaza. And that's just, I guess, my interpretation as well. Like the greenery is great and everything, but I feel like this just isn't the space for it. It's not the intent.
Yeah, no, we're not voting, but I second that. I mean, honestly, I appreciate you saying it was an un-Oregonian thing ever.
Yeah.
I know.
But I felt the same way, especially after seeing, having been there as a kid, but also having seen the opening day or whatever, that old photo. No one's gonna ever say brutalist architecture wins a beauty contest. Oh, well, it's a different type for a reason.
It evokes a very particular feeling.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the point, is this like sort of stark landscape and the big buildings, like that's brutalism, So when you add a lot of greenery, at least like this much, I think it takes away from the kind of like feeling you're supposed to get from that style.
It's supposed to be kind of like both intimidating, but also inspirational.
Yeah.
It's there, spot, right, yeah, exactly.
As I say, I don't like this. I have to say, take away the shade. I'm gonna put in a different opinion here. That is, from the original design, there were intended to be some trees here, which then were not implemented. So, I think you have to kind of look at that a little bit, and then also consider that tree selection and the way the trees are designed. And this, using terms like in LA, a bosque is a grouping of trees, and LA is a longer view. If these are pollarded trees, which is a way of managing trees where they're actually maintained in a smaller form, which might fit with the brutalist architecture. Having constrained trees, so that you still have them, as an element and as some parts of shade, instead of trying to create a canopy.
Yeah.
Tree selection and design could be very important here. And I know that I'm trying to think of where I would see an image of pollarded trees. I know Golden Gate Park has at their music concourse, they've got pollarded sycamores. There's sycamores all around there, and they don't interrupt concerts or anything. This is their outdoor space. So anyway, I think there may be some ways around it, or to satisfy all the parties.
Yeah.
And that original design, it did have trees, but it was very limited to one location.
Yeah.
So it was almost like, here's your trees, but they belong over here.
Yeah.
And then, I think on the picture with everybody, there was like a big band that was playing, it looked like, the big circle of, like half circle of a band playing. And, yeah, over there, and if there were a bunch of trees, that would really limit the visibility of a larger display like that. And so, and maybe that's what they were intending was, see the wells, but where the trees are over here. Yeah, and there's your greenery, but it's not all throughout and creating it's like a canopy.
I think from a then till now look, it was much more fragmented and compartmentalized, and perhaps that is part of brutalism. I mean, I went to school. But it's kind of like you say, here's your trees over here, but the rest of this is, concrete.
That's right.
And where it's going, I mean, and I think that the fountain and the way that is laid out speaks to the same sort of fragmentedness, if I'm gonna get all goofy on it. But in the Constitution showing, seems like there's much more symmetry and greater coverage overall. And I like the parentness. Eastern Oregon.
Yeah, it's diversity of
Yeah.
Oregon.
Your maintenance would love that.
Can I just add, so when we were tasked with trying to figure out what to do with Peace Plaza, what I often heard was we want to revitalize Peace Plaza. We want to create a space where we want it to be welcoming, and people want to be a part of this space. And what I'm seeing as a project manager is there's two conflicting, completely opposite interests. One is similar to what you guys are seeing, is let's embrace the past, let's keep it brutalistic. And then the other opinion is it's too brutal. It's rough, it's not welcoming, it's hot, there's no shade, no one wants to be there. And so we're trying to figure out how can you create a space where people are gonna wanna come and have lunch or a picnic after they visit the library, or before they visit the library, or for staff to come out and enjoy a more welcome space. So I like your point. I think there's a way to do both. I think Cody and I are not landscape architects, and so there's certainly options, I think, with what type of trees you use. I did hear him say at the last meeting that purposely picking deciduous trees so that they do provide some shade in the summer, but then also provide that light that we desperately need as Oregonians in the
Precisely.
And so you get that sunlight into both the library and the Civic Center. So I just wanted to kind of like share with you like what we're hearing from the public and what you guys are saying. Because at the end of the day, we have to be able to go to the public, and if they say you have all these meetings and you didn't listen to us, you just put back concrete, then we have to be able to answer that. And if the answer is we're going with the historic look and this is it, then I guess that's the answer. But I think we need to find a way to be able to hear both and then compromise.
Yeah, so the first community meeting, we had the grove of trees that we're sitting in right now, and it was open. Where the bosses are in this image, that was actually just concrete. And so we heard overwhelmingly, need more grass, need more green, need more trees. So we may have like overcompensated. We need to get into the balance here.
Yeah, and probably recognize that I feel like this design in particular is the kind of design that the public is very excited about right now. Like I feel like brutalism is not super popular, which is a bummer because it's cool and it's interesting and it should be exciting. But I understand that like a general population wouldn't be super excited about a design like this. And so I'm wondering if there's a way that we could utilize some of the existing elements from like this 1972 plan to like add, like maybe we could do more of these like tree wells to add more trees, but in a design that's quite similar to what we would have seen on the original plan. Like I wonder if that's like a way to kind of get at this, adding more trees, but making sure that it's compatible with the overall design. I will also note that this property is on the National Register of Historic Places, right? And our prime function as an HLC is to preserve contributing features of like nationally eligible buildings. And so like, I do think the historic part of this is an important and should be like a big focus of the design here, because it is important. Like lots of smart people beyond this room have agreed that this building is important nationally. And so I think we need to be respectful of that as well. So the historic part of it is an important part.
Yeah, I mean, at a minimum, I would say like, don't remove the triangles, because that's probably gonna run afoul later. I'm just guessing, I don't know the process. And I don't wanna hit on trees because I am. But I'll hit on grass, you know, I don't remember that in the initial '70s plan, and so perhaps that's me in the middle, or if there's an alternative kind of material that is more comfortable than concrete, but not grass that is gonna get dog peed on and then just die and look like crappy concrete.
Are you saying AstroTurf doesn't work?
No. I'm saying like, you know, like at the hospital park playground where it's like bouncy kind of like, you know, it's still look flat and whatever.
Yeah,
I don't like that
it-
stuff, but.
if you could make it look more like concrete than the grass ever would.
Is there gray grass? Do we get concrete grass?
We can try, yeah.
There was grass in that photo.
Yeah,
There was.
And this is,
It's the one
the other thing,
Yeah.
so in addition to you all and the public, this is a park, and so it's maintained by park staff. And I mean, I guess they would love to have it be concrete because it's less maintenance. But in general, they prefer grass, because grass can be mowed, it can be edged, it's low maintenance. They tried to reduce the amount of like landscaping that's in spaces. So, yeah, there's.
so you can kind of see, so this whole corner, where's my mouse? Is really, again, that drawing it was a bunch of tree wells, but what they actually built was a pretty sizable grassy area that has about 8 trees in it. And that's what I had mentioned, those trees are really crowding each other out at this point. But the original built condition was a really grassy area that had a grove of trees in it. And one of our big ideas is kind of to expand that original idea to the north.
I retract my hate of grass.
I think there's gonna be a good compromise
Yeah.
and balance of things.
Yeah.
That, you know, you're in the early stages of
Yeah.
of stuff, but like, you know, Kristen's saying as far as it's on the national register, so that's where we have to come from, this perspective. But to your point, I understand where you're coming from, because you have people over here saying, we want it as a live music venue. And then over here, like, we want quiet zones. Yeah. Yeah. Or, you know, over here, we want food trucks and,
Yeah.
you know, it's just this like, you know, I don't know what does the majority of the public want? Yeah, they probably want different things.
That's fractionated, but that's good.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, Commissioner.
If you look at this original design, you know, you do have grass and where the trees were planted, and then these tree wells over here, which I think was the original bosque that was planned. You'll note that all these trees are on the west side of that plaza. And, you know, it may be that the asymmetry that was in the original design, you know, may be as simple as, you know, kind of honoring that asymmetrical design, because then
Yeah.
these trees on the west side are gonna give you that late afternoon shade when it's the hottest.
Yeah.
You know, that's, 6 o'clock. It's just, that's the hottest temperatures. It's not at 7 o'clock or at 10 o'clock in the morning, so,
Yeah.
Anyway, that's.
I think that's
Tree
I think
location.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, because that would allow some preservation, some additional preservation of this original like triangle shapes with the statue, and then still have some trees and green on the
Yeah,
other
and
side
I
of the
think they're
plaza.
just kind of looking at that asymmetry and how do you apply it today and
Yeah. Yeah.
to the design.
Great. Is there anybody else who has any questions? Do you have any questions? As our newest commissioner, I know you're kind of diving into the deep end here, but.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I've enjoyed listening to all the different perspectives. I think I agree with a lot of it, so.
I have just a couple of like kind of like minimal comments. On the concrete, I think my only concern about whether like what the like texture of the concrete would be is that I'd like it to match the buildings as much as possible. So if we have to do new concrete, like that's a fine texture, I think it's fine. But if we could match the color to the existing buildings, I think that would make it a lot more compatible across the plaza as a whole. And so that would just be my only comment on the concrete replacement. I also think it would be worth down to Docomomo up in Portland. They have like a mid-century, it's like a mid-century design folks up in Portland, and I know that they had a special interest in the civic building, so they might have some folks who are curious and who could give a good opinion. I also would say that I'd love to have the fountain back. I know that it's not necessarily part of the scope, but like I think it would serve the, you know, restoring a historic feature as well as like making it a more inviting space, which is ultimately the goal. So if there's any room to get that fountain back without drowning potential, then that would be amazing. So. Any other comments?
I did have a thought on that immediately. As soon as you said it was a drowning hazard, I thought, fill it halfway with rocks. There you go.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's not as easy as that, but
One of our early ideas was to, you know, make it a kind of a sheet of water, just bring it up and make it a cone and, you know, conical instead of convex instead of concave. But
The main thing for the fountain, I'll just speak on it real quick. The original goal of this project was to reactivate the fountain. That was like, that's what we want to do. But then we got looking into it a little further, and essentially, one was, it's a safety risk, not only from the water pooling, but also the fact that it basically becomes like almost like a splash pad. And so it's an attractive nuisance, if you will. So water, kids, they're kind of attracted. And you have this giant metal object that's
with
not
sharp edges.
with sharp edges. It's really slick, and so the risk averse folks were like, that's a really bad idea. Like, I don't introduce that. And then because it is a park, park's perspective was we have, you know, we don't need another splash pad in this part of town. Like if we're going to add a splash pad, it needs to be in a part of town that doesn't have a splash pad. So they are looking at it from an equity standpoint, like where are we adding this type of feature that's a park? And then the third one was maintenance. It costs about $40,000 annually for winterizing and starting up, and then just maintaining throughout that season.
Like,
So we
something
had
that's
this conversation
every other day,
on
like
the site committee, and overwhelming, they were the ones that were like, activate the fountain. And then as we're talking about budget constraints throughout the city, oh, by the way, this is gonna cost $40,000. It immediately went to, yeah, this isn't something that is maintainable in the long run. So I mean, that could change. We could, you know, get a windfall of money somewhere, but it's not likely. And so for now, like Cody said, for now, we're gonna keep it dormant, make the art piece the focal point. And then, yeah, if at some future date, we could reactivate, but that's not.
I wonder if there's a way to mimic the fountain in your new design. I don't know how, but like, well, I was gonna say, one of the things that comes to mind, I'm not saying to do this, but like tile, mosaic, that's reflective of water, but mimicking in the way of what does water look like, how does it feel, could be an option. So I get the restoration, the cost and the risk of all of that, but if there was some ways that somebody coming in, that's, you know, 20 years from now, they're like, gosh, this maybe was a fountain, you know, 70 years ago, because I can see these features about it, even though it's not now.
Just a cup.
Just a little, just a little, yeah. I don't know, there might be some.
Less chance of it exploding with soap bubbles.
There you go.
I think so.
And that's peace, man.
That's an interesting, yeah. Yeah, I understand about like all the considerations for the fountain, but it would be cool if we could get the fountain back on. I would be really excited. Great. I think I just wanted to make one more comment, and I don't want to run afoul of like public meeting law, but I do want to invite you to like come back for more comments from us when you guys get further in the design. I think we would just need to make sure that like the commissioners, if you do come back for approval, would have access to all that information that you know, we have like a part of the staff report or something like that, if you do come back to talk to us again, but I think it's really valuable to have these conversations, especially as you're going through the design, because we can offer you really early feedback on stuff that like we think really is going to impact things. And we'd like it to be a collaborative process, because I do not envy the task of making this, you know, plaza like exciting to today's public. I feel like that's gonna be really difficult. So I appreciate all the work and effort you've put into it, and we'd like to keep the conversation open and going.
Okay, sounds great.
Awesome, well, thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so we'll move on down the agenda to action items, which is the initiation for the designation of the Englewood Park, which is very exciting. Zach, we just need to read this into the record.
Yes.
Okay, great. And then do we need to?
You'll take a vote on.
We'll take a vote to do it. Okay, perfect. So I will go ahead and read this into the record. This is HLC resolution number 25-01, a resolution initiating the local historic resource designation for Englewood Park located at 1260 19th Street Northeast. And then there's a long tax lot number, which you can look at in the written record. Whereas a council priority is a welcome and livable neighborhood, which includes ensuring that Salem residents have access to historic and cultural opportunities by supporting Salem's historically and culturally significant buildings at the sites. And whereas the City of Salem Council adopted the updated 2020 to 2030 Salem Historic Preservation Plan as components and support documents to the Salem Area Comprehensive Plan in 2020. And whereas the plan's adopted goal 6 is survey and designate historic resources. And whereas the City of Salem is a certified local government and has a historic preservation program that includes the preservation ordinance and a local historic landmarks commission HLC that meets regularly and maintains a register of locally designated historic resources. And whereas Englewood Park has been owned by the City of Salem since 1926 and features a design created by the significant landscape architecture firm Abelard and Scriber in the 1940s. And whereas a local historic resource designation may be initiated by the Salem Historic Landmarks Commission by resolution pursuant to SRC 230.010C1B. And whereas the Historic Landmarks Commission is required to provide appropriate public notice, consider the matter at a public hearing, and make a recommendation regarding the findings related to the criteria for historic resource designation in SRC 230.010 to the City Council pursuant to SRC 300.1110. And whereas a 35-day notification to the Department of Land Conservation and Development is required under SRC 300.1110D. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Historic Landmarks Commission of the City of Salem, Oregon resolves as follows. Section 1. The Historic Landmarks Commission hereby adopts Resolution 2501, initiating the proposed amendments to the Salem Revised Code to improve and streamline historic design review processes and update and clarify historic design review standards, and referring to the matter to a public hearing before the Historic Landmarks Commission on a future date to be determined by the planning administrator. Section 2, this resolution is effected upon adoption and then adopted by the Historic Landmarks Commission on the 16th day of October 2025, as long as we vote yes.
Have some water.
Got through that pretty quick, I hope. All right, do I have a motion?
Is that just
Section. Initiating the proposed amendments to the Salem Revised Code to improve and streamline. Oh, you're right.
Our resolution is in the first bold.
Oh, yeah, there is a typo here. Do you see what we're talking about?
But I will see if I can mark it.
Okay, great. Okay, great. We'll just include in the motion then
The boldface
section to replace that.
section at the top.
Yeah. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Okay, perfect. And a second?
Second.
All right, great. We've got a commissioner by, we've got a motion by Commissioner Inman and a second by Commissioner Kaiser. To your motion.
Well, I support this.
Great.
I think it's a really great opportunity for Salem to recognize another Gordon Scriber designed site, and also a significant natural landscape that has survived since pre-settler days. So I'm supportive.
I'll just add, I'm always happy when the city wants to designate their own properties. So it shows that we're taking our own medicine, so to speak. We're gonna manage it in that way, so it sets a good example.
Okay, great. Then everyone in favor of supporting HLC resolution 25-01 with the change from section 1 to replace it with the top, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. The resolution passes and we will consider the Englewood Park at one of our future public hearings. Okay, great. That moves us out of special orders of business and down into informational reports. We've got a few discussion items. One is just kind of check in on planning for Historic Preservation Month, because I do know it kind of sneaks up on us every year. It's May of 2026. So I wanted to just have a brief conversation about if anybody has ideas what they want to do, and we can kind of, and for the record, Commissioner Jessica is like Jessica Carterman. Yeah, is there anybody who has any ideas for our Historic Preservation Month? Yeah. Just a little.
No, it's a good idea.
A little thought. It can be a short conversation, that leads to a longer conversation.
One of the things that you had discussed previously and why you wanted to bring this forward earlier was doing tours of the different historic districts.
That's right.
And that you needed more time to figure out who would be leading each tour and making contacts with the neighborhoods and things like that. So that's why it's so early.
Appreciate that reminder. I will just comment that the downtown tour we did for Historic Preservation Month this year was actually pretty successful. We had like 25 people that showed up, and I was expecting like 3 people. There was a bunch of people, and it was an interesting group of folks, and they seemed excited about the downtown tour. So I think it's not a bad idea.
Yeah. I think tours are great. I think they draw a lot of interest. Was it good weather? Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. I think somebody posted on like a local like walking group. So it was a walking group that came and it's great.
We do like a history food tour,
Yeah.
Like old food.
like, you know, like exploring Salem through history, food scenes.
What about,
So,
what about a tour of the Scan district? Because I've been looking
The historic
at the area around Bush's Pasture Park. That would be a really nice walking tour
Yeah.
to make a loop of the park. It's a pretty big area.
Yeah. Do you think just the National Register District, or do you think like including some of the stuff that we've been surveying that's not part of the district?
I think it would need to be limited by distance and time. You know, it's like how far can people walk in, you know, an hour and a half or whatever the designated time is for the tour.
You may also think about adding heritage neighborhoods instead of just designated.
Yeah.
Maybe
Grand.
we could reach out to the neighborhood associations and see if there's somebody who's interested, especially of our heritage neighborhoods, to be like, would you be interested in partnering with us on Historic Preservation Month?
I wonder too if we could partner with, I don't know who exactly, but wondering about indigenous history,
Yeah,
Salem, and a tour of some sort
yeah,
around that.
yeah. I mean, we could definitely reach out to Grand Ronde, and the folks down south.
So let's.
So let's see if there's some interest. I feel like that's, I don't know, we'd have to think
Yeah.
carefully about how to
Yes,
do that
for
in
sure.
a thoughtful way, I think,
Yeah.
but it would definitely be a good thing to do, so.
Isn't there an historical society or group for the hospital?
Oh, the mental health
There's the
museum.
Oregon State Hospital Museum.
It might be.
I actually was there this last weekend. It's great.
Yeah, to see those, I mean, they've got some significant historic buildings.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And some of the plantings, I mean, they've got. What are the elms that are low, you know, very small and tortured looking.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've got some great trees and plants on their site.
And I mean, that's one of our historic districts, so.
And they also have an ultimate, a disc golf course.
Yeah, they did.
I saw a young visitor here and they were asking what to do. And I said, well, you know, there's a disc golf course right over there.
You know, on that campus too is the Dome building, and I saw there's a new group that's purchased that building.
Yeah,
And,
they came to the HLC.
Oh, okay, did they?
Maybe you weren't at that.
Yeah, but maybe we could partner with them and do a tour of Dome building.
That's a great idea.
I mean, I know a lot of people, like I personally never been, and I would love to go.
Yeah. We did a tour with the newly renovated Yaquina Hall not too
Yeah.
long ago too, and that was really to see how they fixed that building up. So maybe the state hospital is one of the like tours we want to do.
Is Candelaria a fancy neighborhood?
South of the cemetery.
There's some great houses there.
Yeah, it's like they bought going on, that's all the rage.
Yeah,
Or turn out to an HGTV type thing.
I wonder if have we had more conversation with the folks who might want to designate Jerry Frank's old house?
Jerry Frank's house, they're working on they're working on some things with their, planning in general. And I think before last time I had mentioned that I had done a tour of them and got some documentation photos. They still need to send us some paperwork, but
Aren't they hoping to be at the November hearing? Or no? Wait,
they're,
yes, it has to be designated before they can do the conditional use. You're not hearing this.
depending,
Okay.
we've been working with Quincy on exactly where they need to do things.
You'll learn later,
Okay, what,
I have,
but they'd like to be here before the Lands and Parks Commission soon. But we don't, it's the ball's in their court, but they want to do it soon. We're just waiting for them to submit all their.
My understanding is they want to do it.
well, it would be a slam dunk, so I hope they want to do it.
one other suggestion, but I think it would take even more time to coordinate, like something for a future year, is another walking tour of the Lord and Scriber designed gardens and coordinate with both the neighborhood and I don't know.
The
Well,
Conservancy.
Yeah, and the Conservancy, and do
I-
something, I mean, that would be, kind of a one-off thing. But it's been several years since the garden tour that was done there. It was just fabulous.
I also agree that was a really, really fun tour.
Yeah,
I wonder if there would be.
maybe stripped down and not so elaborate and not, but just focus just on those Lord and Scriber gardens, or 3 of them or something like that.
You brought up an interesting point though, like are there other heritage organizations that we could partner with in town during Historic Preservation Month, and be like, hey, we're gonna coordinate some tours, like maybe Deepwood, the Conservancy.
State health or state.
State
The
hospital.
state hospital, like that's maybe a great, and that would be a great way to like collaborate. So,
Yeah, and the Bushes, the art center, just park.
I'll throw out my idea again. I think I brought it up last year, but it was too close, but the upstairs downtown tours.
oh,
Cause we know some building owners. Cause everyone's always like, what is upstairs in those buildings downtown?
Yes, that's a huge question, but adaptive.
Yeah, but that's okay.
Yeah, come on up.
Cause but that whole like, if you can collaborate with a few building owners, do those upstairs downtown tours.
that'd
love
be
that.
fun. Yeah, that'd be super fun.
It's a
I was just trying to imagine what the historic walking tours would be like, especially if you're just talking about like residential areas, and is that gonna, I don't know, is that gonna weird people out, or what's it gonna be like? Is it a group walking down the street, looking at the houses? But I thought of these Statesman Journal journal articles that I found about my home after I bought it in the area where I'm at, or just right across from Court Street, and there's all these really hilarious Statesman Journal entries about well, I don't know, probably not the original owners, but the ones before us and way back in, well, I don't know. I don't remember exactly when, but it was some of the earlier articles, and it was when they built the home, they sold it to, and then it was these family that lived there, these boys, and like all the crazy shenanigans they got into, because every time something happened, fire department's called out, there's another article. And it's the Berry boys again, they've done it again, they've lit the basement on fire, they've done this, whatever, and I just thought, if you pass by every house, there's like a little story about some funny history thing, or something interesting that's happened in the past.
Like newspaper. and
Yeah,
article
almost like,
exhibit.
I mean, you literally print those out, they're there.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
On a heritage and it'd be like, oh, a little newspaper, oh, today, 1677 Chemeketa, such and such happened, and it's like. As you walk, you kind of walk through history and see little things that happened at each place,
Yeah,
and so applied for a building permit, somebody else's house caught on fire. Who knows what happened, but. Good
We had some
coincidence.
bad stuff in the neighborhood too.
Yeah, there was a dead
Fire
body found in the
bombings
creek
and
and.
murders.
That Court Street. Well, there's that infamous house at, what is it, 13th, 14th and Chemeketa, or Court.
Yeah.
The firebombing.
The firebombing and murders of
Yeah.
the.
Come on the tour.
Yeah.
I mean,
True crime's big.
no,
That's an
seriously,
exciting
it's
tour.
a true crime tour. If we did do a true crime tour, it would probably draw a lot of.
True crime, right, true crime, not quite murder mystery.
There's a
tour.
lot.
A bank robber got shot at from 40.
the dynamite.
Yeah, oh, in the
Well,
back.
Salem is home to a lot of serial killers. Right. There's a number that originated here.
Yeah, that's a peace block.
It's like the top of, I mean, I know a lot of stories.
My God.
Like,
Okay, well, I'm putting you in charge of the crime tour.
it's a lot. The top of the old Macy's parquet, woman was abducted. In the 70s, 60s.
Wow.
Well, I feel like we're excited about the tours. I'm excited about the tours. Murder tours and other tours.
I like the upstairs
Downtown.
downtown. I think that is something that could be put together pretty quickly and would be really fun and different.
The city of Albany did that a number of years ago, and they might be a good resource. Their historic, I forget exactly what the historic landmarks equivalent. They also have a downtown Main Street community organization, and I think they may have organized it also, but they'd be a good resource to reach out to also.
I'm kind of looking at you, Charles. Do you think you might be willing to ask around about interest on an upstairs, downstairs tour? for
Yeah,
families?
it's just finding ones that aren't now housing. Because we're like, oh,
Yeah, they like.
here's a hallway, that's all you get to look at, but
Yeah.
I know what you
Yeah,
meant.
that's fair.
So, yeah, look at you, book bid. I'd really love to get up there. Yeah, sure, I mean, I can take a couple.
You can see if it might be possible. I think that would be a good idea. And then I think kind of going back to this idea about the mid-century thing too, I'm wondering what neighborhood association is Jerry Frank's house in?
Yeah, well, it's Candelaria.
I can't remember what neighborhood association that is.
Swan?
Swan?
I don't know.
Do you think we could maybe just find out and then email them to see if they would be interested in partners? Because maybe we could do like a little like neighborhood mid-century tour, because there's a lot of really cool houses around that area, so that would be kind of a cool thing, and it maybe would interest them in being our next heritage neighborhood.
Yeah, I know some of those, especially when you get down by the hills, they're a little farther apart, but they have some cool houses, like that Star House. Sometimes there's not as much sidewalk.
Yeah,
Some of them aren't quite as walkable.
Yeah.
So logistics might be something to think about. But I'm just thinking off the top of my head, I'll find out where Jerry's house is.
great. Maybe just an inquiry on that. And then Juliana, would you be interested in talking to the mental health museum about doing a tour of the?
Yes. Can do somebody who's involved.
Perfect. And then I think maybe I don't know, this might be too many things, but I feel like we could at least put our feelers out, see what seems like it would be a reasonable thing to do, and then we can kind of talk about it again, but maybe. You and I could work on, like, if we wanted to do a residential tour, like, I think the idea of doing like a little, like, kind of open house style walking tour where we like say, here's your little map, and then there's like a tiny exhibit about each house, like, that might be really cool. I kind of vision when we were talking about it, so, maybe we could do that, logistics on that. Okay, great. And your prep card or crime tour. Cool.
Mine's gonna be
It is
the biggest tour.
No doubt.
Be very excited about crime tour. I'm a baby. I don't like knowing about crime.
Oh,
I'll just be in the back. Okay, great. I think that's enough conversation for Historic Preservation Month. Let's put our feelers out, see what comes up. So that brings us to work plan assignments. Just start off. And our work plan, probably haven't gotten an assignment yet. So in our work plan, we have like different areas that we focus on, like survey and designation is one, like I don't know, I can't remember the other
Outreach,
ones.
education.
Outreach. So we'll do. Usually,
Isn't Connie Strong doing that? And part of that would be like workshops.
Yes.
Like, like how to do stuff or that kind of thing. That might be something that would be interesting.
Absolutely.
oh, great, yeah, that would be perfect.
And it's.
Usually we do like assignments for the work plan at the beginning of the year. I don't know, I don't think necessarily we need to like assign a bunch of stuff. I don't want anything else. So maybe we can talk about it next
Sure.
time, but maybe, I think that's a great idea. Maybe. The one of the committees that are work plan assignments I'm on is on the survey and designation committee, and we've been working on the Englewood designation, which has been going very much more interesting than I would have ever expected. There's a lot of information about park that I wouldn't have thought when I started the project, so it's been quite fun actually, and I'm excited to get it done. Cool. That's my big update. Does anybody have any other work plan updates?
Jessica let me know before she left that she did get a proclamation from the governor for October to be national or not national, but well, yeah, it is National Archaeology Month,
Yeah.
but that Oregon is recognizing October as archaeology.
Thank you. Okay, great. Then we'll go ahead and move on to newsletter.
What do you all want to write about?
what is it? When's the next one?
Theoretically,
Right now.
this one.
What did we talk about last time?
I wrote a article about Sandboard maps. I don't know if that ever got
I don't know.
published. But if it didn't, I sent it to you guys.
Let me see what I can.
Okay.
There was something that we were talking about wanting to mail out too with the big mailer.
Yes.
I'm not remembering what it is. The photo contest? Yeah.
Okay. There's a recording.
Oh, yeah.
Go back and.
Yeah, that would be great. I feel like there was something that we were like, oh, we should include this in our next mailed edition, because that's coming up. It's like the winter one,
It
right?
goes in January.
In January, so we've got a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I feel like it was the photo contest.
Maybe.
But I
The
don't.
toolbox screen?
That would have been my thought, yeah.
Your box around.
Grant, You're right. That's what it was. That's what it was. I think we should do a big picture about it. Yeah, we should.
That's
do
gonna
a
be
toolbox grant. I think that's what it should be, a big focus on the toolbox grant, and then maybe a little bit on how to research your property, so that's what the sample.
Yeah, the Sandboard was like how to use the Sandboard maps to.
Okay.
Great. Perfect. How to take advantage of resources available to you in your historic house. Perfect.
Super cool.
That's both the Heritage Center, whereas all the Sandboard maps is the same place I found all the statesman journal entries for And I was able to search by address. That was amazing. It's like type your own address in, you can see all the crazy things that ever happened at your house. I thought that was really, really cool. I was just hours just like, what? Taking pictures, so.
I feel like there's definitely several people who've died in my house, so maybe that can be included on the. I don't think it's crime though, it's just,
Send me your
it's
address.
just normal.
It's normal people. Oh, I have access to newspapers.com, so
Yes.
look up all the murders.
Yes. I was trying to figure out when the mural at the library was by looking through. .com while I was talking, but there's too many murals and library posts. So.
Yeah, there's a lot, I'm sure.
Anyway,
Well, that's a plan for that, and if, I don't know what if you wanna, like, does staff wanna take on the toolbox writing, or do you want one of the commissioners? I just don't know how good I would do, I would be like, I can tell Zach
I'd be
about
asking,
it.
I'd be asking you guys.
yeah.
Okay, great, so if you would wanna, if you wanna do that. But if you need anything else, let us know. Okay, great, then anything else on the news board? Okay, great, we'll move on to public comments or items not on the agenda. Want to make a comment?
I'm just really happy that Englewood Park is under consideration for our local historic.
You should come up and state your name and address for the record, just so it's clear, because it's nice to hear those comments, so we appreciate it.
Where did you, just right up here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my name is Len Takata. I live in Ward 1 and I'm on the Northeast Neighbors Board, and I'm just really grateful that Englewood Park, which is near and dear to my heart, is being considered for a local historic landmarks designation.
Thank
It's
you.
a really special place, so appreciate all the research.
Yeah. Thank you. We appreciate all of your advocacy for that park.
That's just a fun fact. Lynn won one of our photography awards for a photo of her dog in Englewood Park 3 years ago, I think.
Oh, that's cute.
My dog Forrest.
Oh my gosh, adorable. Your dog Forest in the forest?
Yes.
I believe the title of the photo was Forest in the Forest.
Okay, great. Historic preservation officer report.
A lot of the things ongoing back and forth with, so I don't have a lot of new things that y'all haven't touched on in the conversation yet. But one thing we do have that's very important is the Christmas party,
Yes.
right? And there's a choice on which you would prefer, is Deepwood or Gaiety Hollow, which is the place that y'all recall where the award ceremony was this year.
It would be inside.
Well, they're both so ugly, and I don't know. I'm kidding. Obviously, I'm kidding. That's a difficult choice, honestly. I don't know if there's, I mean, they're both very nice.
Deepwood last year.
We did Deepwood last year, and then we did,
Last 2 years.
yeah, last 2 years, and then we did the Conservancy for our
The awards.
awards this year.
Just a little bit of context behind it. Yvonne used to work at Deepwood and she had invited us each of the years to Deepwood. And now that she works for the Conservancy, she's invited us to the Conservancy. So we do have a direct invitation.
We should go to the Conservancy.
I think conservancy.
Yeah,
Okay, it's settled.
especially if they want us there.
And perhaps on the day of our meeting, which is December 18th.
The only concerns I would have for that is if there's a public hearing. If there's no items to discuss, then that's 100% fine. But if there's any action to be done, we have to hold it open to the whole, anyone who wants to show up. So that I doubt anyone will.
Yeah.
But that's the only consideration.
Think about.
Yeah, and I would have to double check the technology would be compatible with being able to live stream.
Okay. Well,
I think it would be, but I just have to check.
maybe we'll just keep an eye on the agenda, and if it's not strenuous, then we could have the meeting there. and then Have our party, or maybe we could just meet here and then go to the party. It's a short agenda.
Yeah.
Fine.
Okay.
With me.
Are they gonna have a Christmas tree? Cause Deepwood had a Christmas tree. So if they don't have a Christmas, I mean, there's like a tree, I think, roasting. Going down.
Dimitri. I'll bring one just to cut it down.
Yeah.
Anything else, Kate? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, no, I was gonna say, I have a little tabletop.
Okay.
That's really the main thing I have this time. Trying to think of anything big coming up that we're getting a little bit out of our construction season as it gets winter. Some things are slowing down a little bit there. The the survey's ongoing. We're working on it. Since last meeting, Marcel and I, who's the intern, went to scan. Got some feedback from them about what they'd like to do with the survey once it's done. And there was some talk about, they seem to really like the stories, the narrative histories of the different parts of the neighborhood, because it's a really big, I think there's like 3,000 some properties. So it's a really big area. And so, but I think they very much wanted to help tell their story. So some of the suggestions were like, if you go around town, you see the utility boxes that have the really great place-based things that tell you things that sometimes, especially for things that aren't just evident, you see a really big Queen Anne style house, you're like, okay, this is at least significant for architecture, but some of those lost stories and some of those stories about trends. And why is this neighborhood all World War II era housing that's kind of small cottage clusters, things like that you find in Scan. They were very interested in telling some of those stories. So that was good feedback we got for that.
That's a cool idea, I like that. You might even be able to like pair that with like a GIS story map kind of thing. So you could look at it online or in physical. Oh, cool, great, that's exciting. I'm happy that it's going well.
So that's really all I have for this time. I'm happy if you have any questions.
Okay, great. Are there any comments for the good of the order? Okay, great. Well, then I will adjourn the October 16th, 2025 meeting of the Salem Historic Landmarks Commission.